For depression and anxiety in association with Parkinson's disease, a range of treatments can be helpful. It's very important not to forget the general measures like looking after your Parkinson's itself, looking after your general health, and maintaining a generally healthy lifestyle. That includes appropriate social interaction that we all need to survive. The specific treatments for depression and anxiety include talking therapies and medication. The choice in any individual case will be influenced by the severity of the problem, the available people to help, and sometimes by the preference of the person receiving treatment. The talking therapies can involve support, education about what the nature of the problem is, and specific techniques called cognitive behavioural therapy that challenge the patterns of thinking that can happen in depression and anxiety, and also challenge the disturbed patterns of behaviour. Medications are now available that can be very effective for depression and anxiety and also well tolerated by people who have Parkinson's disease. There's a wide range of these newer medications, and unfortunately we have no way of predicting with certainty which will be the best one for each individual person. So to some degree it's a matter of trial and error finding the right one at the right dose for you. Given that each of the medications, once we do find the right one and the right dose, takes at least a week or two to kick in, sometimes that can be frustrating and seems time-consuming. It's important to stick with it because the odds are very good that we can find something that will help everyone. Psychologists and psychiatrists are two professional groups who can assist with problems like anxiety and depression. Psychiatrists are trained doctors who've gone on to specialise in psychiatry, while psychologists are individuals trained specifically in techniques like psychotherapy to help with conditions like anxiety and depression. Psychologists are expert in techniques like cognitive behavioural therapy, whereas only a psychiatrist can prescribe some of the medications that are very important in the treatment of depression and anxiety. Psychologists may often work with general practitioners who will do that prescribing, and perhaps if the case is more complicated, referral to a psychiatrist might be appropriate. Probably what's the most important thing is finding someone that you as a person feel you can work with and trust. If you don't have that trust, chances are the treatment's going to be an awful lot harder. The carer has a key role in assisting anyone with Parkinson's disease in general. Specifically in relation to depression and anxiety, the carer can have a key role. The carer can often identify the presence of depression and anxiety even when the person who's suffering from it isn't aware. Sometimes it may be that they don't want to acknowledge the problem even if they know it's there. As a carer, it can be daunting to tell somebody something they don't want to know, but it is important to try, because if you are, you're doing them a favour. The carer may then have a role in facilitating the person approaching treatment. So some of us will find it easier to go and talk about our difficulties if we have a supporter with us. The carer may then have a key role in facilitating some of the treatment. So, for a specific example, some of the behavioural treatments for anxiety disorders involve confronting feared situations. The carer may be able to facilitate the first steps of that to get treatment going. It is important to acknowledge that caring and assisting someone with Parkinson's disease can sometimes be a challenge in its own right. I wouldn't use the word burden because I know so many carers assist out of a strong feeling of kinship and love. Nevertheless, it's important to acknowledge it can be tough. We know that carers assisting people with Parkinson's disease have greater rates of depression and anxiety themselves compared to the general community. There are probably a lot of reasons for that, one of them being the intense 24-hour experience that can sometimes be part of helping someone with Parkinson's disease. I strongly encourage all the carers I see to make sure that they look after their own mental health. None of us are probably built to be with our loved ones 24 hours a day. Making sure you have a break every now and then is probably a good idea for both of you. Making sure you do some things that you enjoy and develop your own life is probably important. And as a carer, If you have a problem with depression and anxiety, it's important to acknowledge that too. I think many carers feel guilty about acknowledging their own problems, because how can I have a problem when he or she is the one with Parkinson's disease? It's going to be a lot harder to sustain your work as a carer if you don't attend to that depression and anxiety, so do both of yourselves a favour and go and get something done about it. We know that depression and anxiety in association with Parkinson's disease have a strong habit of hanging around. All the time that they're there, they will be associated with much worse quality of life than if they weren't there. Also, the longer they're there, the probably harder they are to get rid of once you do seek treatment. I would therefore advocate very strongly that once a problem like this is identified, it's important to seek help straight away, not to ignore the problem as is often tempting. Help is available, and most importantly, almost everyone with depression and anxiety can be helped.